There we go. All
Okay,
right.
so we're live. We're live, and this is so exciting. Dr. Nancy Zare and Leah Pinelli is my guest today. And Leah is going to share with us Plan Simple, how to eat healthy, even if you're a busy professional. So, Leah, give us a little background about you before you dive into your presentation.
Sure. Yeah. I have it kind of built into my presentation, but I'll just share it a
Ah,
little bit here.
whoops. Well, if you're hearing thunder, that's because we're having a storm outside. Sorry
Oh,
about that.
wow. That's okay. That's okay. And full disclosure, I have a 7-year-old in my office with me right now because his school is shut down due to COVID situation. So if you hear a little
Okay.
if you hear a little chuckling, it's because he's watching something funny on his iPad.
Okay.
I'm Leah Pinelli, and I help women stop overeating specifically. Although today's presentation is not about overeating, and it's not just for women. But what I do primarily in my life and my career is I help women stop overeating by radically transforming the way that they think, their mindset, and their habits, so that they can lose unwanted weight and never have to diet again. And I came up with today's presentation specifically because I had heard over and over and over, not just from my clients, but from friends and family, that they just don't have time to eat healthy. And especially during the pandemic, when so many people were on Zoom, were back-to-back meetings, and they've got kids and homeschooling and all that, even now, right? They've got all these things going on. And they were like, all I have time to do is just grab a box of Cheez-Its, but I really want to eat differently. And I knew, I'm like, oh, I've got so many tools and tips and tricks. And I was talking with a friend once, giving her some ideas. And she was like, you really need to make this into like a training, because you've got all these ideas that I thought just people, was common sense, but it turns out it's, so to some people it might be, but to others it's helpful just to hear it. So I've
All
created this
right.
Plan Simple, how to eat healthy.
Okay. So take it away, Leah.
Okay, let's do it. So, um, first, I'll ask you, Nancy, but for anybody who's watching the replay, watching live, I would love for you to just ask yourself this question. And then, Nancy, you can tell me, what kind of eater are you? Cooking machine, microwave queen, takeout is your lifeblood, or you're a pantry grazer all day long? Which one are you,
I
Nancy?
am a cooking machine, but I have to tell you,
Nice.
the cooking consists of buying a roasted chicken from, one of the stores and then using it for lots of meals.
Oh, you are my kind of woman, because that's what I do. Actually, I'm going to talk about this. Actually, not in this particular training, but I talk about this in another training about food assembly. It sounds like you're into food assembly, Nancy. Do I have
That
that right?
is a
Yes.
better thing. So, do I do a little cooking? Yes, I do cooking, but I
Yes.
mostly have salads, which of course is assembly, right?
Yes. Yes. And that's me. I'm a food assembler. I do not cook almost anything. My family will tell you, but I'm very good at food assembly, and I love food assembly, especially because I really like really good food and I like really healthy food, but I don't want to take time in the kitchen. And that's what I found most people struggle with when it comes to eating healthy, is they don't have the time, like I said. So, who's this training for? It's really for any kind of busy professionals or just busy humans. You don't even have to be a professional. You might just have, kids, and you're working, at home raising up your children, but you're busy. You're really, really busy. You can't be bothered thinking about cooking. You don't want to be thinking about cooking. You don't have the time or desire to cook, and you don't want to spend your limited free time. This is what we hear so much. Oh, I meal prepped all day on Sunday. And I'm like, that sounds like the worst way to spend a Sunday for someone like me, right? I want to be hiking with my family, or even like, I'd rather be cleaning my house than meal prepping, to be honest. So this is for you if you fall into any of these categories. What you're going to learn in the next 10 minutes or so, right? I'm a huge fan of Lizzo, is how to plan your weekly meals in 10 minutes or less. I'm going to teach you a method for how you can just get them planned in 10 minutes or less. And then I'm also going to share with you some next steps to increase the likelihood that you actually follow the plans that you make, right? Because I know I'm a really good planner, and I'm not so good at actually following through on the plans that I make. So I have actually learned quite a few methods to get me where I'm trying to go. So first, I just want to call out that it is a myth that it takes a lot of time to eat healthy. So Nancy has already said, and I've already said, right? Like, we don't want to spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and salads are amazing for that, to be honest. But there's all kinds of other things that you can do we won't have time to get into the actual meal ideas. We can always chat offline about that. I've got a million meal ideas, but today I really wanted to just make this a bite-sized 10-minute training to get you started. So I already chatted a little bit about who I am. That is my 7-year-old who's in the room with me, who does not look like that anymore. And I already introduced myself. Like I said, I am a coach that helps women change their mindset and their habits with food. Let's get into it. So this is how you plan a week's worth of meals in 10 minutes or less. I love minimalism, and I love the idea of less is more, but also less but better, right? I love that idea. And so what you see here is a picture, and you've probably heard of a capsule wardrobe or a wardrobe capsule. You can put them, they're interchangeable, that order. Essentially, if you're not super familiar, what it is minimalists will often really pare down everything in their lives, but in this case, their closet, to the, however many, some people go with the number 33 or whatever number, but a very small number of items, but they love each and every item. Each item is typically very high quality. It will last for, a lifetime or whatever it is, or at least a very long time, but they have fewer, right? So the idea of less but better. So you can see in this closet, there's only 2 pairs of shoes and a couple of, clutches and a few sweaters, a few pants, but they all look kind of fancy schmancy, right? There's a couple of Chanel bags up there. So, we could debate whether or not Chanel is quality, but the point here is that you have a few items. And the reason that people do this is, well, first of all, they mix and match. So all of these items you can see from the color scheme, they go together. You can mix and match so that your outfits change regularly, even though you're wearing the same few items, rotating through them. The reason that people love this, and actually there's been some research that shows that the reason people love this is because when you have fewer items to choose from, when you just pare it down to things you really love, then we don't go into decision overwhelm, or what they call, decision paralysis, which basically there have been studies that showed, for example, at a grocery store, there was samples of jams, and they'd put out like 33 samples of jams. And they found that when they had 33 samples that people could choose from versus just 3 samples that people can choose from, they got way more people sampling when there was only 3 choices. And that's because when there's 33, we go into, like I said, decision paralysis, and then we end up, walking away and like just choosing the label recognition jam, like the one they were like, oh, I saw a commercial for Smuckers, so I'm just going to get that one, right? Because we're overwhelmed. Same idea with your closet, same idea with your meals. So the idea behind a meal capsule is just that. It is, we are going to pare down what you are choosing to just things that you love, but it's got to be healthy, right? Because I'll tell you, I could eat a box of Cheez-Its all day long, or potato chips or popcorn or whatever it is, but that doesn't actually get me to my goal of really wanting to eat nutrient dense, yummy, delicious, and really, really healthy meals. So here's how you do it. I'm going to give you 3 steps, and then I'm going to tell you how you can learn more after these 3 steps. So the first step is you want to start with vegetables, right? Plants are everything. If you are caring about health, you can't get away from the vegetables. This is where our nutrients are. And here's what I want to encourage. I really want to encourage you to just come up with, again, like a capsule, like a wardrobe capsule. What are your favorite veggies, your go-to veggies? A lot of times we get overwhelmed because we go to the store and, like, for example, in this picture, I'm like, oh, I really should get an artichoke. I haven't had an artichoke, and I'm sure I probably need, or kale. I should be eating kale, and everybody loves kale. I personally do love kale. I don't know how to cook kale. And then you buy the kale and then you never cook it, and then you end up throwing it out because you didn't have time. Don't do that, right? Just pick the vegetables that you really, truly love. So in my house, we have what I call munching veggies. So we always in our fridge, bell peppers, cucumbers, carrots, and then we switch it up with radishes, fennel, think avocado always, which is technically a fruit, but you get the idea. So we always have those on hand. So I never have to worry that I don't have something to eat. And I do have lots of ideas for how you can actually prep these also in under 10 minutes so that they're always ready for you just as quickly as that box of Cheez-Its. So that's the first thing, is start with your vegetables. Plants are your friend. Then you want to actually go to fats. So this is one of the biggest misconceptions, Nancy, that drives me crazy. But the reason this drives me crazy is because if you were alive in the 80s and 90s, you went through the no fat, low fat diet fad, which is unfortunately, it's still plaguing, particularly women. Studies have shown that low fat and no fat is actually something that women fear. The problem is we need fat. Not only do we need fat for cognition, it actually builds, cells in our brains, but we also need fat to feel satiated, to feel good, to have your food taste good. I just did a post about this yesterday. My salad yesterday was like egg salad, bacon, avocado, and I swear there was vegetables in there, but you could barely see it because it smoked salmon on top, right? There was so much fat on top. We need more fat, especially if you are female, because we've been getting these messages for decades that we're not supposed to have fat. There's all kinds of, reasons for that. The sugar industry definitely had their hands in they were a driving force behind the low fat, no fat fad, but I won't get into that here, but we actually need more fat than you think. So the second thing you want to do then is choose your veggies and then choose your fats. Also, sometimes people feel decision paralysis again, or overwhelm when they are like, but I don't know, is this a good fat? Is this a bad fat? Don't worry about it. Like I said, I had bacon on my salad yesterday and today, right? Don't worry about if it's bacon or avocado or nuts or walnuts are better than cashews. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed with that. Just choose your nice, yummy fats that you love. That's all that matters, is that you love it and you've got plants and fat. That right there is going to up your nutrient consumption dramatically if you just focus on those two things. And then the last thing you want to do is you do want to choose protein, right? And it doesn't have to be meat. There are all kinds of, planet-friendly ways to consume protein. And also they have cheese in this picture. And sometimes people do consider cheese a protein. I personally kind of count it in the fat category. I eat lots and lots of cheese. But the idea here is that you really do want to have protein, because that also is going to help with satiety levels. So sometimes if we're not getting enough protein, we feel hungrier later. And then we find ourselves grabbing the box of Cheez-Its or the potato chips or whatever it is. So if you just get those 3 things in at every meal and just prioritize those 3 things. And like I said, I've got tips and tricks for how to make it really easy and quick. But if you just focus on those 3 things, what I want to assure you of is that everything else is just optional. It's just optional. You don't need it, right? You don't need to, have I don't know if I have enough carbohydrate or starch or bread or anything. I mean, you can certainly include that, but you just don't need it. And in order to be healthy, in order to have tons of nutrients, in order to feel satiated and good and strong and healthy, I promise you, you don't need that. But you can always have it, right? Like I said, it's a preference, but start with those 3. So then the last thing that I'm going to leave you with is how to actually then create a meal plan using this capsule. So once you've got your veggies and your fats, your favorite veggies, your favorite fats, your favorite proteins, you're going to plan for 3 or 4 dinners, right? And you're going to start with 3 or 4 proteins, 1 for each of those dinners. Add 5 different veggies, but remember, those can include your go-to veggies, right? So sometimes in my house, my husband does the cooking, and he's from Buffalo, New York. And to him, a vegetable is pickles. I'm not joking. Last night I was like, did Kai get any vegetables? And that's our son. And he was like, oh, he had pickles. I'm like, that doesn't count, right? Or kimchi. He's told me before that kimchi was the vegetable. So what I always do is I always have that stash of carrots and peppers and cucumbers in my fridge, so that when my husband tells me that kimchi is the vegetable tonight, I can pull those out, and at least my kid and I are getting the veggies, right? But then you have your different veggies, you add your yummy fats, everything else is optional, totally up to you. And then you're just going to write it down and make a list. And what I have for you today, because I'm going to drop it. Oh, actually, where do I drop it, Nancy? I'm going to have to give it to Nancy. We'll drop it in the comments, but I have a weekly shopping list for you. Let me see. Yeah, I have a picture for you. So this is my weekly shopping list, right? In a fancy form. I actually use my phone, but you can see here that these are my go-tos. This is my meal capsule. So you can see the proteins that we have on hand regularly. You can see the fats, the veggies that are just the regular veggies. And then you see there's a bullet point for seasonal. You can see the fruit, and then the other foods, right? The dips, I love Mary's Gone crackers, popcorn, salsa, and then family foods. So foods that my family loves and wants to have around: bread, pasta, potatoes, and rice, those staples, right? For my family. So I have for you all, a blank version of this, so you can build your own, but I will also be giving you mine and a blank one so that you can create your own shopping list so that you can start to regularly have your own meal capsule that you are drawing from. And a fun little tip actually about this is if you have a smart home like an Alexa or one of those smart home, Google Home or whatever, you can actually start your shopping list on your phone. So for me, anytime I'm in the kitchen, if I've just cut the last bell pepper, I immediately say, Alexa, put bell pepper on my shopping list so that I never, ever, ever get to the grocery store and forget these staples. Because when you have them on hand, when you have access to them always, then there's no reason to grab the box of Cheez-Its because you're like, oh, I've already got those cut up veggies and I've got some delicious ranch dip. I love ranch dip. And, I'm going to grab, a couple of slices of turkey and boom, there, it's done, right? And then of course, if I want to make a turkey sandwich or take that kind of time to do that, I can, but you definitely don't have to.
Oh
so
my
I would
God.
love to hear.
I love this. What are the thoughts? I'm loving it.
Yeah. Oh, yay. Nancy's
I'm
loving it.
loving it. I'm loving it.
Good.
I posted some items there in our underneath the chat. I took some notes and we will post that weekly shopping list.
There. Okay. Yeah. Let me, I think I can give it to you. I didn't realize there was a chat. So that's helpful. Nancy,
Yeah.
Thank you. Hope I can drop it right in there.
Can you, where you see post a comment?
Yeah. Let me see. Oh, I hear your little puppies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, before they destroy each other. They're being adopted, I think, this week. So I will miss my charges here.
I'm sure. Okay. How do I drop in the chat?
Well, you may not be able to, but we'll do it in the Facebook group as soon as we get off.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. And by the way, if you have comments, if you're watching on the replay, go ahead and let us know you saw it on the replay. Leah is in our group, so you can reach out to her in the group if you have questions. This is amazing. Really, I hope you appreciate how, potent this was in such a short period of time to really get such useful information to help you eat healthy and yet do it within a short time period. Leah, amazing.
Thank you. Well, let me tell people what they can do next if they want to. You can reach out and be more than happy to help you learn to prepare simple, sustainable, and enjoyable, that is so important, meals using your meal capsule. Meals such as these are all from my kitchen, meals that your family will like. And then also how to stick to your plan, like I mentioned, because that's truly the hardest part, especially when you don't follow your plan. You have to remember to be kind to yourself, right? Because we're so good at getting all upset and maybe beating ourselves up a little bit. So you can get your weekly shopping list. I also have a free training that I'd be happy to share with Nancy to share with you guys. And if you would like to chat more, I will be sure to drop that information as well. That's all I got, Nancy.
That dynamite. I'm going to go back to just usins. And so that people can really see you rather than just a little image of you.
Yeah, my little head.
It's, I'm having fun playing with StreamYard. And if you would like to be interviewed here in our group, please do message me, reach out, because this is an opportunity to showcase what you do, to let the community know your skills, your talents. And of course, I'd love to make matches for people looking for each other's services. Yes. So do let us know. Leah, really tremendous information in such a short time period.
Good. So, Nancy, thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome. To your sales success. We'll see you in our group.
All right. Ciao.